I was getting results from LinkedIn for quite a time, and more my clients were saying, well, what are you doing on LinkedIn? How are you doing it? So I started sharing with them all of this juiciness.
Welcome back to For Entrepreneurs by Entrepreneurs. I'm Eric Verdi. Episode 11 brings us Jill Chitty. She is a LinkedIn expert from England. So I am super stoked to learn about LinkedIn. I just recently put my profile up. I've done most everything on Facebook. And this is really the reason for this podcast, is to find experts in areas of business, of entrepreneurship that you're not strong in, and lean on them. You know, that's how this podcast started. I leaned on Brandon of how to start a podcast. I'm going to lean on Jill of how to go get a profile. Then what's the first week? What's the first month? You know, how do you promote everything for LinkedIn to gain a following? And since we're all entrepreneurs here, to actually gain business from LinkedIn. Jill is in Southern England. She's got a great backstory. She used to be an actress. I'm excited to hear about that and share that with you. So Jill, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. I loved it that you paused just very slightly before saying my surname. It's not an easy surname for you guys with your lovely American accents to say. But if you want to call me Chitty, that's fine by me. My American friends call me Chitty.
How about just Jill? Is that okay?
Jill's great.
Okay,
Jill's great.
I'll call you Jill. So Jill's our resident LinkedIn expert. So Jill, before we go deep into LinkedIn, give us your backstory, please.
Thank you, Eric. I think I've always been an entrepreneur. I've had that entrepreneurial tendency of raising money for charity as a kid. Didn't come from a family that was entrepreneurial at all. But I knew one thing as I was growing up, that I wanted to be an actress. And so my parents said, get your qualifications, then we'll support you. So at an early age, I left home as soon as I could, went off to drama school in London, worked in the West End, worked all over Europe, and absolutely loved it. And in fact, those skills that I've learned have stood me in incredible good stead now, because even though we're presenting on Zoom, I'm presenting every day to audiences and I speak, and it's just been really, really useful. I don't think anything's ever wasted. And I had to stop that because I started to have kids. I started a family and eventually found myself as a single parent with 2 young boys. And it meant that being an actress wasn't tenable. But being in business was, because it gave me the flexibility to be with my kids, to raise them, but also to do something for myself. And so I started a tiny little boutique business called Glitter and Gloss, or should I say Glitter and Gloss. And we did makeover parties for girls, and really it was just a stopgap for me. But we became an award-winning business. I had a team of 17, and it's really where I cut my teeth on marketing. My first business advisor said to me, Jill, when I talk to you about your business, it's like I'm talking a foreign language, because I just didn't get it. When she challenged me what marketing I was doing, I said, what's marketing? I had no idea. And she challenged me to go and find out what marketing was. And that was really my moment when I fell in love with marketing. I eventually sold that business back in 2014. And I went to work with quite a big UK entrepreneur. And he was quite demanding. And he said, oh, you are getting results on LinkedIn. So I nodded. And I said to a colleague, I have no idea what LinkedIn is. And so I went on LinkedIn, I found an old CV and I uploaded it. And our next weekly meeting where we had to share our results, he said, what results are you getting? And I said, well, I'm on LinkedIn. And my friend said, well, are you messaging anybody? And I was like, that's a really good idea to message people on LinkedIn. So I decided that I would message all of my network, which wasn't huge at that time, every single day. And the result was that I got thrown off LinkedIn. So that was my first foray with LinkedIn. So I want to encourage you with that story, because if I can get incredible results from LinkedIn from such a poor start, I think anybody can. And I realized that it was time to find somebody who could teach me what to do. And that really started my second love affair, which was with LinkedIn.
Awesome. So from getting kicked off of LinkedIn, how did you get back on? How do you grow a network on LinkedIn? Is it that, I'm going to assume most everybody listening to this call knows Facebook. And I think LinkedIn's kind of like the next evolution of it. So explain like LinkedIn versus Facebook maybe.
Yeah, and I think really this last 12 months, LinkedIn is coming into its own. More and more people are joining LinkedIn. We think there's about between 3 and 4 new members every second. And the great thing about LinkedIn, it's the place where people go to do business, but they do it socially. And so people are there with a mindset that it's business. So there's no cat pictures. You haven't got your mum on LinkedIn. The focus is all about sharing the goodness of your business and doing business with other people. One of the great things about LinkedIn is if you're trying to get through to somebody who's maybe on a targeted list through cold calling or cold emailing, and you're struggling, chances are, as a peer on LinkedIn, they will be more than happy to connect with you and talk with you. So you get almost instant access to some of those people that you've really struggled with in the past.
So what do you use LinkedIn for? So your business, Jill, specifically is what?
So I work with other businesses, and I do have quite a wide spread of audiences that I work with, from solopreneurs right up to billion pound companies. And I enable them to generate leads consistently on LinkedIn. And part of that starts with creating a really powerful presence.
So you are a marketing and branding consulting company that helps entrepreneurs, business owners, small business owners,
Yeah,
solopreneurs.
I call myself a lead generation
Okay.
company. Yeah,
What do you
that's really
find?
the end result.
What do you find is the best type of content and or ads on LinkedIn? And what's the ad rate? What's the ad spend? A typical ad spend for what's the typical ad spend for a entrepreneur on LinkedIn per month?
Do you know, I never start with ads with any of my companies.
Okay.
Never, ever. LinkedIn ads, you were saying, what's the difference between LinkedIn and Facebook? Facebook ads, Facebook groups, definitely much better, much easier, much more accessible than LinkedIn. LinkedIn haven't got their groups right. But what I always do is we always work on organic content first, because if you want to put some money to a post, you've got to know that it's got traction. You've got to, work at it and know that your market is going to receive that message and listen to that message. Once we know that, then we know exactly what to do. I don't know if you can hear my cats going crazy in the corner. But joys of working at home.
Exactly, during the pandemic.
Yeah. So one of the things that I know is working well at the moment is sponsored in-mails, but nothing.
Okay, explain that.
Okay,
Sponsored
so
what?
sponsored in-mails. So you can buy messaging to certain people from LinkedIn. So when you're on the free platform, you get access to your connections network. So if you're connected to somebody, they're called a first degree connection. The connections of that person are your second degree connections. You can connect with them and message them from whether you're free or you're paying for it. But the third degree connection, which is one step removed, you can't connect with them. You have to find some mutual connection. Now, if you want to do that en masse, then the best way is to pay for an in-mail. So an in-mail lets you connect with anybody, the whole of the LinkedIn network. And sponsored in-mails means that you could pick maybe 3,000 or 4,000 targeted people and send them a message. And what we're discovering works really well is going against that corporate stuffy business break sort of vein of messaging and writing a really informal, warm, humor often lands really well message that is offering them something of real value, getting them to click through and putting them in a funnel where you're then managing the relationship and the speed of and the rate of delivery and communication.
And so when you're doing these in-mails, are you doing one time? Are you doing multiple? Are you staggering the content? Is the content more story related, or is it more direct response related? Like, what type of content works best?
Yeah, initially direct response from the work that I've been doing with different companies is much better. But your follow-up, usually the money is in the follow-up, so your follow-up is really important. But once you've got people on your list, then you've got access to communicate with them on a consistent basis. Okay. You have to have a company page, by the way, to do any advertising. So if you're a business and you've got a marketing department, that's great. If you're a solopreneur, that means another profile that you've got to work at. And one of the key things about LinkedIn is you've got to be consistent for those algorithms.
So which would you suggest? Because most everybody that's listening to this is a business owner. Do they have a business page or do they have a personal page?
Always you have to have a personal page. And because people buy from people. Okay. And you can very quickly build up that trust and credibility that allows people to know, like, and trust you and take the next step with you.
Okay, so what, your superpower that we're going to talk about is LinkedIn. We're talking about it. So what, like, was there an aha moment like, hey, I get this, or hey, was there a specific client? Was there a specific breakthrough that you had that, like, man, I'm really good at this. I know what I'm really good at, and it's not LinkedIn. So when did you know, like, hey, man, I'm pretty good at this?
I was getting results from LinkedIn for quite a time, and more my clients were saying, well, what are you doing on LinkedIn? How are you doing it? So I started sharing with them all of this juiciness. But the moment came from me when I realized how naturally and effortlessly, easy for me to say, I could actually make regular and continual offers on LinkedIn. And it really skyrocketed the results that I was seeing in my business. So there's tons of ways. Shall I go through some of the ways that you can do that?
Okay, so yeah, do you want to share any of those
with us? Yeah, absolutely. So writing content on the homepage feed is such an easy way to grow your network, to really position yourself with authority, to show who you are as both a person and a business, to share value, to kind of display your identity, because people will be looking at you and seeing if there's matched values, matched identity. And these are all the sort of buying behaviors that we need to feel secure in before we kind of raise our hand and take the next step forward. So content does an awful lot for you in doing that. And it's so easy to use the content just to say to people, if you want to know more about this, that's, and you can seed in your content some of the difficulties they're going through, some of the mistakes they're making, so that a piece of content will really resonate. Last Thursday, I put out what I call my morning cuppa routine. I share it with my network, and I've done a video to go along with it as well. And so I just talked about just some issue that users will have on LinkedIn. And I said, if you want my cuppa routine, then just pop cuppa in the comments below. And within seconds, there was like 22 people saying cuppa. So these people then obviously go into my funnel. I communicate with them. I invite them along to other stuff. Another great way is the messaging, your inbox. When people connect with you, it's a great opportunity to ask the right questions to get the right answers from them. And the answers that you always want is for them to say yes to the next little step with you. That's all. I think we try to get people to say yes to the whole thing, but actually we just want them to say yes to the next little step. And your inbox, for me, that's where I get so much of my sales, and taking people off LinkedIn into a call or a presentation, and delivering them the results of what I can do for them as a business.
Awesome. All right, Jill. So you're dropped off on a desert island, or you're starting over from day one. Give our listeners and viewers, if you want to share anything on the screen, if not, no worries, but give our listeners and viewers, like what's the first week look like, and what's the first month look like to grow a profile and a presence on LinkedIn?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. If I was to do things again, I would certainly do things differently, because I've learned a ton of stuff, and I would dig the foundations before running off and building the walls. And what I mean by that is getting absolute clarity and under the skin of my network, who I'm going to market to, understanding where they are at the point of reaching out to me, what they've been struggling with, what's been stopping them from growing, the mistakes that they've been making, all of those day-to-day struggles that my clients go through. Because once you get clarity on that, it gives you an enormous amount of resources for what you're going to do on LinkedIn for the rest of your working life, your business life. So it's really understanding the working minds of your clients, their behavior, what stopped them from moving forward, and getting clarity on that. And then one of the biggest mistakes that I see is people have great products or services, or they've productized their service, which is a wise thing to do, but they don't know how to communicate that. So getting clarity on the offer, so how you present your offer. I think we get tied up in knots over this. We make it far more complicated than we need to, and it's probably one of the biggest questions that I get asked. How do I sell and communicate what I sell, and the benefits of that and the outcomes of that? So I would start with those two, because it defines what you do on LinkedIn. If you're there to give insight and highlight some of the mistakes that people are making, and to show them how to overcome the next hurdle, because most of us, when we're in business, it's because we've battered a path through to find some way of doing stuff that has brought greater results. And the people that we serve usually are following us, behind us on that path. So we know the route that they're going to travel. So we can offer great insight, great advice. And I'm not talking about sharing the how-tos exactly of everything that you do, but you can give people a really clear, succinct overview, big picture of where they're at, that will change their behavior, will change the course of what they're doing. So those two things for me are always the foundational thing. And then we want to get up onto LinkedIn. It's all about optimizing your profile, because your profile is the single most important piece of real estate in terms of social selling that you will ever have. So I'm wondering, Eric, if we could go on to LinkedIn and have a look at your profile. What do you reckon? Are you up for it?
You're more than welcome to. I don't think I have a single post on LinkedIn yet. I just recently put my profile up. So yeah,
We
I,
can.
I'd love some insight.
Let me share
So,
my
so
screen.
listeners, if you are if you're listening to this, pop over to Facebook, our Facebook page for Entrepreneurs by Entrepreneurs with Eric Verdi, or YouTube, where this will be. And Jill is going to give me a hard time here because my profile is, that is not me.
We have connected. Let me find you another way. Many ways to.
So you've got 13,248 connections.
Yes. Oh. We have just recently connected.
We're connected on Facebook, I know.
Oh, was it Facebook? Right, let's find you down here. As it's a new.
See, I'm so hard to. I'm so
Yeah,
new. I'm so hard to.
A worry, isn't it? If I can't find you by your name. No. Am I spelling your name right, Eric?
Yeah, you have it spelled right. Let me see if I can.
It might be because it's so new that it hasn't populated yet.
Let me see what this makes for a great interview here.
Yeah, yes, if you're listening on podcast, really, really sorry for the silence. So it's possibly that because Eric's profile is still very new, that it's not yet, the algorithms haven't yet picked up any of the keywords, it's not searchable, and there's a whole lesson in that as well, Eric, to be had. I think I'm going to go, while you're doing that, I'm going to go on to my profile, and I'm just going to talk everybody through some of the things to focus on. This is going to be great for you, Eric, because you can then go back and apply it to your profile as well. So this is my profile, and when you do any activity on LinkedIn, this top bit, so your picture and this little call it professional headline, your name and the 120 characters under your name follow you everywhere. So it's really important that you get it right, and also that this front bit that we're seeing, this top bit of your profile, really resonates with people, because they can click on your professional headline anywhere on LinkedIn where you show up and come through to your profile. So most people don't have anything on their banner. But what we want is for people to get an instant sense of who you are. Do you mind these updating? So I've got my old logo on it. I've just had a new logo. And in fact, I update this regularly and I play around with it regularly. Once you've made some changes, you need to let it settle for the algorithms. But you definitely have a short period of time for this to make a really good impression. You have about 5 seconds before people will decide, is this for me or is this not? So I've got a banner with 3 of the sort of mantras that I live by, and you'll see in my name, if you're watching on YouTube, you'll have to go on and have a look. If not, I've got Jill Chitty, and I've got a blue heart, and I've got lead generation expert on the line where my name should be, because when people tag me, this comes up all the time in posts, and it means that people automatically associate Jill Chitty with lead generation. So one really important part of your profile is this part. It's the 120 characters under your name, and it needs to be keyword rich. So what will people be searching for if they look for your services? Because you want to come up, and the search bar is just at the top here, you want to come up on that first page over and above your competitors and make it really easy for people to find you. So this can be what you do, your keywords need to go first, what you do, and who you do it for, maybe the results that you get for clients. I've played around and I've put my some of my programs up here. It's that didn't particularly work, so I'm going to go back to what I know and keep with the keywords that of the things that you do, who you do it for, the results that you get. It can be soft results, so it can how it makes people feel if that's your expertise, or it can be those hard, I save this amount of money for people, I help people get this amount of time back in their day, and so on. So that, and it is fairly easy to edit. You've got these little edit pens all over the place. The next most important thing is your about section. And because it's called about, people think that it's about them. It isn't. I think your LinkedIn profile works so much better if you make this client facing. You make it all about your clients. I use this beautiful bit of real estate. You've got 2,000 characters here to really speak into the lives and the experience of my clients. And this is where you want people to go, oh yeah, I'm making those mistakes. Oh yeah, I need that. And start to see how you could be an answer to some of the issues that they're having.
It's basically, it could be like a short form sales letter.
Yes, it could be. Yeah. But the aim is to build trust and credibility.
Right.
And it isn't to sell. We'll come on to that because there's space for that on your profile. But it's really about building that trust and getting some credibility. The way we get credibility is to let people know that we understand them. That's the best way to get credibility.
I mean, you have a quote on there. During my first session with Jill, we crafted a post that resulted in €5,000 contract and is rising.
Yeah. So put testimonials on there, and then at the end, feel free to put in the services that you offer and how you help people. That's absolutely right. But the bulk of it has got to be about making sure that whoever is reading your profile, that if they are an ideal client, that they will feel compelled to know more about you. If they're not an ideal client, they'll be turned off by this and they'll go and look at somebody else's profile.
Right.
But you want to give a really clear call to action. And so give them a really good reason to book a call with you, schedule a call, email you, and what they can get from doing that. I think too many times I just see people listing phone number, email, mobile. You've got to give people a really good reason. And it's not that they're stupid, it's social media has made us incredibly distracted. So we just have to lay it out for everybody. So that's your about section. LinkedIn this year has added this featured section, and it's just so easy to click through and get value. So I run a networking event each week. We get 50 or 60 people, business owners coming along. These are to some of my programs and to some of my freebies here. What I've missed off is my client testimonials and my case studies, so they're to come up next. But you want to add value, you want to have a mix of content here, you want to add value, you want to put social proof in, like testimonials, and I've got a cheat sheet down there, so you guys can access any of these, and a mix of your programs as well. So the other really important thing is your experience section. One of the key things that people make a mistake with is in the title of their experience of their current role, they might put business owner or managing director. This is keyword rich, so you want to put in some of those keywords instead of your role in your experience sections. You need to get an all-star profile, and basically that means that LinkedIn has seen that you filled out all the necessary sections, so you've just completed the number of sections that it deems enough. You need 3 loads of experience. It can be 3 experiences within the same job, or you could even put 3 different areas of your current business in, but you need 3 experiences, you need a summary, you need some education, and you need some skills. So this experience, this is where you flesh out a bit more about your program, the results that you get, what you can offer, what it's like to work with you, and flesh that out there. You've got 2,000 characters again, so there's quite a bit that you can work on, and there's no limit to the amount of experiences that you've put, but you just have to be mindful that people will, scrolling if that does your eyes, and sorry, people will read this section. In fact, let's go right back. People will read this section, and if you're getting it right for your ideal market, it will lead them to the next step, and they'll read your about section. If they like that, they will go on to look and see what sort of credibility you've got in your experience section and how you can help them. So it's very much a layered approach. All the way through your profile, you need to be optimizing it with keywords. Keywords let LinkedIn know what you're about. If there are no keywords, or there are too many keywords and they're too thinly spread across your profile, it's going to deem your profile broken. That means it won't show it to anybody, so you won't come up in many searches, and you want as many people to come to your profile and read it as possible and start aligning themselves with you. So I raced through that, Eric. Any questions on that?
So before you even start going to connect, like we said, if your first week of being on LinkedIn, like, you need to optimize, you need to have this page on point before you go out there and start really pushing the relationships out there, pushing the content out there, correct?
Yeah, first port of call, complete your profile, get an all-star profile. And the way that LinkedIn shares your profile is it shares profiles that are all-star, so completed, who are in the closest geographical area to you. Then it shows other all-star profiles who are at a distance from you, and then it's everybody else at the end when you're searching for somebody on LinkedIn. So it's super important that it's completed and it's optimized. And then you want to start building your network. And there's this little nifty search bar here that you can, so let's just get let's get an SEO manager. So maybe SEO managers are my ideal clients. So I pop that in the search bar, which is on the top menu bar on LinkedIn, and I'm going to click people. And there are 1,470,000 profiles with SEO manager on there. Now that number is way too big to be able to manage and do anything with. So what's your state that you're living in currently, Eric? You did tell me.
I am Maryland.
So let's put...
Baltimore's fine.
Baltimore's fine. Let's apply that filter of Baltimore. So you've still got 3,700, which is a huge number to start prospecting to. We don't need first degree connections because we're all connected. So we're just going to put second degree. So that might reduce that number by...
Perfect.
There we go. 216 is a great number to start working through. So you'll save this list. On the free, you can save 3 searches just on the right here, this box here.
Right.
And you start looking at people's profiles, seeing if there's any synergy. What I don't ever advocate is you just click connect, 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 connect. I like to start the relationship with people on LinkedIn as I mean to go on. So I look at their profile, I see if there's any synergy, see if there's anything that I can pick up in my message, and I write a personalized invitation. And then when people connect, I've given them a good reason. I've shown a little bit of my personality. When they connect, I have a welcome message ready. Sometimes it just needs adjusting for each person that I'm connecting with, but it's a very warm, reaching out, message. And I mean, as you've seen, I've got a large network. So I usually say to people, it's great to be connected. I've got a huge network. So if there's anybody in my network that you want me to refer you to and pass on their name, please let me know. I'll be happy. And then I do a kind of, oh, and by the way, I'm a real LinkedIn geek. But there's tons of information on my profile about me. Go and have a look. And that's all I do. There's no sales, because if you start pushing before you've even had your first conversation, you will find people will just delete you. It's a bit like going into a bar and asking somebody to marry you when you've not even said hello. So that's the simple process that I use to grow my network. It's communicating and building the relationship. And the great thing is, having been on LinkedIn for years, I've made some genuine friends. I've made some fantastic business partnerships. LinkedIn is a great place to align yourself with other businesses and do business together. And there's a lot of members on LinkedIn now that support me. So they support my posts. If they see anybody saying, who do you recommend to help with LinkedIn? All my posse are there sharing. Jill Chitty is Jill. So it's really about making sure that you build those relationships with everybody. Now, one of the mistakes that I made, Eric, was I thought it was all about numbers. So I just connected to people, and I got nothing out of my network at all. And so I've had to, over the years, go back and reconnect with people and look at some of the connections and think, I really don't think they're right for me, and delete them. And that leads me to one question that people ask me a lot is, should I connect with everybody? And the answer is not really, which is a bit ambiguous. You definitely want to be actively going out and inviting your ideal clients into your network. And thank you. And you want to be proactively doing that. But also, you're going to get people that invite you back. So for me, I say, are they your ideal clients, or do they have access to your ideal clients? And those are the people that you want to fill your network with.
Awesome. Well, Jill, that was a lot of information. And you say LinkedIn is a great place to connect, and that's actually, you came up as the top person in our search, so that's why we had you on. So you're obviously doing something right. So if listeners or viewers wanted to learn more, do you have any courses and or how best to contact you? Obviously LinkedIn, but how best to contact you?
Yeah, do contact me and connect with me on LinkedIn, because I'd love to send you my LinkedIn morning cuppa routine and the video that goes alongside that when you connect with me. It's just a huge value add, and it will show you the routine of the 6 things that you need to do every day on LinkedIn. And in the video, I explain a bit deeper why they're important and how you can get the most of it. I have a masterclass that I actually am currently relaunching, and that takes you through every step of what it takes to become super effective with your time on LinkedIn and with lead generation. And it takes you right through from doing the foundations to creating campaigns, and how you work with a list of people to build the relationship and get them to say yes. I've got a Facebook page, a Facebook group, the LinkedIn Growth Hub. Come and join me there. I go and do a live every week, and that's a great place to learn about LinkedIn. And I have a membership as well. So I have a great community of people, and we meet for a coaching call weekly. And ironically, we're in a Facebook group as well, because LinkedIn groups aren't great. And yes, so plenty. But first port of call, Jill Chitty on LinkedIn. From there, we can do all things, Eric.
Awesome. That is Jill, Chitty, on LinkedIn, lead generation expert. Jill, thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Great to be here. Happy to help.
You did awesome. So listeners, viewers, episode 11 of For Entrepreneurs by Entrepreneurs with Jill Chitty, hello accent there, Jill Chitty, a lead generation expert from LinkedIn, and we are out.